Hi, welcome to this video looking at the Paper 2 writing exam. This is the second exam you're going to do. This will be next Wednesday. This video is just looking at the writing. If you want to look at any other exam or the reading, have a look at the YouTube videos. So remember, this exam is 2 hours. If you have extra time, 25% extra half an hour. If you don't have extra time, you have an hour on each. If you have extra time, give yourself a quarter of an hour on each. So like I say, this video is looking at the writing exam, which will be the second part, section B of the exam. So in the writing exam next Wednesday, you will definitely get a formal letter and you will get a speech, normally an informal speech. Normally in the writing exam, you have 6 or 7 text types they can pick, but because of COVID and you've missed learning, the exam board are going to tell us which ones you're going to do. So you're going to do the letter and you're going to do the speech. However, you're going to write them pretty much in the same way. So like I said, a letter and a speech, you need to write between 300 to 400 words each task. So you need to do that for both. I look for 350. So if you're doing it off a laptop, you can check your word count. If you're doing it on a piece of paper with a pen, I would say you're looking at about 1.75 to 2 pages for average handwriting. You've got an hour to do these tasks, 75 minutes if you have extra time. If it was me, I'd spend 25 minutes writing each and then give yourself 10 minutes to check. And I know it's boring proofreading, but I guarantee you'll find 3 or 4 mistakes. So for both tasks, try to persuade the reader to agree with you. Use interesting sentence starters. Use dress, direct address, rhetorical question, emotive language, statistic, and sentence starters. Anything less than 300 will get you no marks, so go for 350. You need 5 paragraphs, intro, conclusion, 3 main paragraphs, and no more than 3 lines without a full stop. I'll explain a bit more of that later on. So an example of a letter you might get, question might be, a newspaper article has appeared suggesting some people say we're better off without the internet. Do you agree? Write a letter giving your views, like all the questions that have 20 marks. So remember, the question will normally, the first thing you have to do before you even do a plan is decide what side of the argument you're on. Always do the easiest or the side you're passionate about. So I would say doing a letter about why the internet is a positive thing would probably be easier. And remember, you're trying to persuade the reader. So in this case, you're trying to persuade the reader that the internet is a good thing. Here's a structure of a letter. Your address, top right hand corner, the address you're writing to, just below on the left. Then you have the date below my address. Then you say, hello, dear sir or madam. Remember, it needs a comma. And then, like all the other questions, like the article, intro, conclusion, 3 main points. Feel free to pause the video if you need to. And just remember the letters, dear sir or madam, so you end with yours faithfully. You don't end with sincerely. And just proofread your capital letters on your addresses. People tend to miss a capital letter, and that will cost you a mark or so. Okay, here's an example of a speech question that you might get. This was one from a couple of years ago. Write a speech to your class with the following title, My Favourite Hobby. So really simple question. So here's examples of hobbies down the bottom of the screen. So what you would do with this one is you would pick a hobby, one of your favourite hobbies, or if you couldn't think of one, you'd think of one that you could write a lot about, and then intro, conclusion, and then 3 things that you like about your favourite hobby. Here's the structure for the speech. So we're going to say hello to the class, then our intro, 3 main points, conclusion. Exactly the same as the letter. The only thing changes probably is up the top. So intro, conclusion, 3 main points. And then things to remember. Here's an example of another example of a speech at the top. Just remember for your speech, try and use direct address, use rhetorical questions, and they can be more informal. So in a speech, we're going to try and use you and we and us to get the reader involved. Also, same with rhetorical questions. You ask a question, makes you feel like the reader, you're talking directly to the reader. These are all persuasive devices. Remember, the whole point of both of these texts is try to persuade the reader to agree with you. And we've been told in the question that the speech is for our class. So that means we can be more informal because we're speaking to our peers, but obviously no slang. Word count does make a difference. Anything less than 300 will get you no marks. So this was actually question 1 and question 2 by the same student. So same quality of work, but just because on the first one they only did less than a page, they did about 250 words, they got a grade 2. And then for the second one, they did 400 words, they got a grade 5. So it's really important to remember that even though the quality of your work may be great, if it's less than a page, you're going to struggle to get any sort of marks. So really try to get to page and a half, 2 pages per question. If you need more word count, make the writing real places, real examples, experiences, or pretend it's real. So say, for example, you're doing, I don't know, a paragraph on online shopping. If you struggle after 4 or 5 sentences to think of more to put, you could make up a little anecdote. So you could say, my best friend is a shopping addict. She goes on she goes on Zara once a day at least to buy something. So just make up a little story. 1 point per paragraph. Do not put lots of points in one big chunk. So that's what we don't want. You'll get marked down for pretty heavily. And this is what we do want. So you won't have to write that much, but paragraph 1, intro, conclusion, 3 main points is what we want. Try not to have huge sentences. In other words, run-on sentences. If you have one that's 3 lines long, you need to go back and put a full stop in. Do not just put a comma in. No, most of the time, full stop, start a new sentence. Again, sentence length. I've highlighted here where the sentences stop. So 5 sentences for one big page of A4 is far too long. Again, this one, the first sentence is nice and short, but after that, 2 huge sentences. This is what we do want. So there's still a few long sentences, but there's a mixture of short, medium, and longer sentences. Again, left and right, which of those would be better, do you think? Well, it's the left. This is what we don't want. Again, massive page, sentences that are 4 or 5 long, so that's what we don't want. Well, this one here, again, we still have a long sentences of 2 or 3 lines, but we also have 1 sentence lines as well. This is your structure for the exam. Intro, conclusion, 3 main points. 2 sentences for your intro and conclusion, 5 to 6 for your main points. Again, you should do a plan. So again, if I was doing that question about why internet is a good thing, my 1 and 5 would be intro and conclusion is saying the internet is a good thing. Then come up with 3 things about the internet that you could talk about. Social media, 1 paragraph on that, 1 paragraph on entertainment, 1 paragraph on online shopping. Again, not in one big chunk, 3 separate paragraphs. Do your plan at the top of the page. Okay. So again, if this is another question, you have to write an article on things you find annoying. Your intro and conclusion would be, I'm going to be talking about things I find annoying, and then give me 3 things. So I've chosen snoring, Love Island, and dancing. My intro and conclusion are just saying, I'm going to be talking about things that annoy me. Again, catchy title. Are these the most annoying things ever? So maybe a rhetorical question is a good way of starting. Okay, we're not going to do that. Okay, so just remember then, put your plan at the top of the page like I've done here. I would say this word count is pretty good. So it's basically 2 pages, page and a half. This person's not done addresses on a letter. So I don't think you would get marked down for that. So I wouldn't do letter, but if you feel like you want to do a letter, then do it. You will get a mark for your plan, but even more important than that, it helps you structure so it's not just one big block of writing. Okay, writing a great intro. Shouldn't be more than 2 sentences. Say which side of the argument you're on, but not why. In the first sentence, copy out a bit of the exam question, and in the second sentence, say what you're going to write about. So say, for example, we have that one about favourite hobby. This is a good example. Hello, class. Today I'm going to talk about my hobby and encourage some of you to get involved. My hobby is horse riding. Okay, so it's nice. In the first sentence, they say what it's about, and in the second sentence, they say what they're going to do. Horse riding. This is what you don't want to do, where this person's going to talk about cooking, and then they talked about 5 or 6 reasons about why they like cooking. That is for later on in the document. Your intro is just going to say what you're going to be talking about. Again, the question is a message in your friendship WhatsApp group said festivals are a waste of time. Write a letter giving your views. I've put, hi Lily, I read in our WhatsApp group that someone said festivals are a waste of time. I wanted to explain why I think they're unmissable. Okay, so I said hello because it's a formal letter. If it was formal, I put dear. Okay, I've copied that out from the exam question. So my first sentence, copy out a bit of the exam question. And then the second sentence, say which side of the argument I'm on. In this case, I'm saying festivals are really good. Okay, your intro and conclusion should be pretty much the same. So this GIF here is meant to show a reflection. So the intro and conclusion should pretty much reflect each other and be almost very similar in terms of the words. So again, if I have that intro again about the festivals, I put, hi Lily, I read in our WhatsApp group that someone said festivals are a waste of time. I want to explain to you why I think they're unmissable. So then I write my 3 in paragraphs on why festivals are great, and then my conclusion would be, in conclusion, these are the reasons why I disagree that festivals are a waste of time. I think they're unmissable. So if you read my intro and conclusion or pause the video, you'll notice they're very similar. So I've copied that bit out in the blue, and then I've copied out that bit in the grey. So your intro and conclusion should mirror each other. Okay. Okay, so remember, try and use dress. So these are techniques that will make your writing exciting. You do get marked more for making your writing exciting. Direct address, rhetorical question, exciting adjectives, statistics, sentence starters. So looking back at that question of things that a few find annoying, I put snoring and I've used my dress here. So firstly, as a sentence starter, we need to act now. We would all agree is direct address. Is there anything worse than being woken up at 3 a.m. by a gigantic snort? Rhetorical question. 45%. Statistic. Seriously. Sentence starter. Revolting, rancid, alliteration. So try and use some of these devices to push your mark up. Again, sentence starters firstly, secondly, and thirdly for your main paragraphs will push your grades up even more. So try and do that. And the things you need to proofread in the exam are not huge sentences. Go back after the exam. If you've got a sentence that's 3 or 4 lines long, go back and put a full stop in. This is what a typical student does with run on sentences, either no punctuation or they shove a comma in. So these are two separate sentences. He put on sunscreen, the sun was burning hot. So we need something after sunscreen. You don't put no punctuation, you don't put a comma. It's two separate sentences. So you either put a full stop or use a word like as or but or because. Okay, again, not huge sentences. We want a mixture of short and medium. Check your there, and theirs. Okay, there's loads of online stuff you can do, online quizzes if you need to do that. Check your capital letters. Okay, no small i's. Okay, check your apostrophes. Again, look, these things, if you're struggling with them, just type in online quiz and you can do lots of these things to bump up your knowledge. Okay, sorry, I'm just going to go through this. Have a topic sentence at the start of each of your main paragraphs. So not your intro and conclusion, but your main paragraph. Make your topic sentence the first sentence that is going to be what you're going to be talking about in the paragraph. Make it short, less than a line. Make it nice and clear. So again, this question about is the internet a good thing? My 3 good things about my internet, my plan in the top right corner, are entertainment, shopping, and social media and communication. So my topic sentences would be, firstly, the internet is fantastic for entertainment. And then I'd write 5 or 6 sentences explaining that. Secondly, the internet is great for shopping. Thirdly, the internet is brilliant for communication. Again, I'd write 4 or 5 sentences explaining why it's good for communication. But your topic sentence, make it nice and clear. Things to improve from the mocks, check your apostrophes. If you do it on the computer, check your typos. Remember, capital letters for places, companies, FaceTime, Bournemouth. No sentence is more than 3 lines. I know I've talked about that a lot, but it's a big thing. If you don't have a full stop, you'll get marked down. Okay. And as a summary, then, things to remember for the paper 2 writing exam. Finish both questions. Okay. I say to my students, if you finish every question in the exam, you've got a really good chance of passing. You need to write 300, 400 words or 2 pages for each question. Spend the same amount of time on each question. It's out of 40 of the exam. They're both worth 20. There's no point spending 45 minutes on one and then 15 minutes on the other. You just spend the same time on both. Keep looking at the clock. 5 paragraphs on each question. Intro, conclusion, 3 main points. Check the most common spag errors for every student. There, and there, capitals and apostrophes. This is the biggest one. Keep sentences shorter than 3 lines on the word page. The biggest thing students do wrong is run on sentences. That means putting a few sentences together with no punctuation or wrong punctuation. So it doesn't matter if it's a word page, even if you're writing with a pen, if you go 3 lines on your page with no full stop, go back in, look where there's a break, put a full stop, put a capital letter. Do your plans at the top of the word page. You will get a mark for the plan. Use sentence starters like firstly, secondly, however. Use some of dress, so statistic, rhetorical question, emotive language. And remember, for your letter, addresses, debatable. If it was me, I wouldn't do addresses, I'd go straight in. But it's Dear Sir or Madam, and you end with yours faithfully. And on a speech, try to use direct address, some rhetorical questions, and you can be a bit more informal. Remember, both texts, the objective is to persuade the reader. Okay, hope that's been some use to you, and good luck on Monday.